was a sad day for the UFC on Saturday night as Alexander Volkanovski finally lost his featherweight title. He's held the title since he beat Max Holloway in 2019. Since then he's went on a class reign in this division. He's been my favourite fighter by far. Although on Saturday night, the rising star Ilia Topuria, he just looked too good for him. In today's video I'm going to be breaking down the main event on Saturday night. I'm going to be looking at what's next for Alexander Volkanovski and what's next for the new featherweight champion Ilia Topuria. If you haven't already, make sure and check out my other video which is breaking down the rest of the main card fights in UFC 298. I thought the Alexander Volkanovski and Topuria main event, it was a big enough fight on its own to have its own video, so I gave it its own video. The rest of the breakdowns and the reviews is on the other video, so make sure and go and check that out. If you enjoy this content, make sure to like, share and subscribe to Bernie Talks Fighting and hit the bell so you get a notification when the next video goes live.
Shut up and sit down.
For UFC fans, it seems that Alexander Volkanovski has been a part of every other pay-per-view for the past few years. He's been such an active champion and such an active fighter, whether he's fighting at featherweight or he's stepping up to lightweight. He's been so active throughout the past few years. So we have to applaud Alexander Volkanovski. What a great run he gave us. It's over. Will it be over for good? That's what I'll break down in this video. But what a great run he gave us, and I've spent so many good nights staying up watching Alexander Volkanovski fights with my mates, watching him win the title, watching him defend the title time after time, watching him step up and nearly shock the world against Islam. What an unbelievable fighter and an unbelievable guy Alexander Volkanovski is. But on Saturday night, he just wasn't good enough for Ilia Topuria. During fight week, Ilia Topuria was very confident. Some would say he was cocky even. We've seen the videos of him touching the belt. Obviously, there's a big superstition around. It's the same in football. You're not meant to touch the trophy or touch the belt until you've won it. We've seen Ilia Topuria touching the belt. It didn't seem to bother him. He says he knew he was going to win it anyway. This, to me, it seemed like he was being cocky and he was being overconfident, but boy did he back it up on Saturday night. During fight week, we obviously seen Alexander Volkanovski playing into the old man character. We've seen the video he put out with the Australian betting company, I think it was. It was absolutely hilarious. I thought it was really funny, where he's wearing the old man outfit. He obviously came to the press conference wearing the same thing. So the old man Volk character came from the stat which says that fighters 35 and over between the 125 and 175 pound divisions are now, including Volk's loss, they're now 2-29 in championship fights. This is a crazy stat, and it shows that in these lighter weight classes, speed is so important, and it's really hard to stick around and stay at the top of them divisions if you are over the age of 35. So this is where the Volk old man character came from. Obviously, Volk is even cursed by this stat that 35-year-olds and over cannot win championship fights in these weight divisions. It's absolutely crazy. I'm quite interested to see if there will be a fighter that will break it again. I'm sure there will be, but speed is so important in these lower weight classes, and speed's the first thing to go with age. So that is why this stat, or this curse, keeps getting put on any champion around these weight classes that's 35 and over. From the start, Ilia Topuria put Volk on the back foot. He was really putting the pressure on. Volk done well fighting on the outside, but he was having to make a lot of movements. He was having to create angles, cut a lot of corners. And yes, he did land some good strikes. Volk, his leg kicks looked pretty good, but Ilia Topuria, any time he connected with Volk's chin, it looked as if he was going to knock him out. Ilia Topuria in that first round, he caught Volk a few times. Volk's chin was very high. This is also, we don't normally see Volk fighting someone who's around the same height as him. Volk's a fighter, he always comes up in his punches. You know, he generates a lot of the power from his punches by punching up. Because of Topuria's height, it was really the first person that could capitalise on the fact that when Volk backs off, he tends to drop his hand, and it does leave him susceptible to a right hand coming over, or a left hook coming over the hand which is dropped. And this is what Ilia Topuria managed to do. Because in the past we've seen Volk fight longer, rangier fighters, the likes of even Korean Zombie, Max Holloway, Yair Rodriguez. These are all sort of longer and rangier fighters who like to fight on the outside, and Volk's usually the one fighting on the inside, coming up and producing the power from his punches as he punches up. But in this case, Ilia Topuria is just slightly taller than Volk, so we weren't able to see Volk doing that. And Ilia Topuria, he really did show that maybe this body type and this stature, it doesn't suit Volk's style, and styles make fights. So the first round played out. There were some people scoring it to Volk, 10-9. To be honest, I scored it 10-9 Ilia Topuria. The night I was watching it, I was quite biased, and it says, no, Volk's round. But I would say Ilia Topuria, he did land the more damaging shots. I wouldn't even call them damaging in the sense that they really hurt Volk, but he kind of rocked him a few times. Like, You could see Volk was feeling the punches that Ilia Topuria was landing, whereas when Volk landed a punch, Ilia Topuria, he kind of took it in a stride and he kept putting Volk on the back foot. The first round finishes, and then we come into the second round, and boy, we didn't see much of it. Obviously, Volkanovski comes out, Ilia Topuria, he lands a combo and he knocks him out with the left hook. What a punch it was. It landed perfect, and it was quite similar to the punch that we had seen nearly land on a couple of occasions in the first round. Volkanovski goes down, he gets absolutely folded against the cage. I nearly cried at this moment. It was so sad. Last time we seen Volkanovski get knocked out against Islam, I says to myself, well, at least he's still the featherweight GOAT. We'll see him go again in the featherweight division. And this time, I didn't have that excuse, or I didn't have that thing to make me slightly happier when he got knocked out. It's hard seeing your favourite fighter go down like that, especially after such a dominant reign in the featherweight division. But it is what it is. Volkanovski, I hope he comes back again. I'm going to discuss this later on in the video. I hope he does come back and have another shot at the title. But to me, Ilia Topuria just looked too good. So we have to say kudos to Ilia Topuria. What a star he is. Is it any wonder he's confident? He's still unbeaten. You know, it was a big step up. His biggest win so far was either Josh Emmett or Bryce Mitchell. And stepping up to Volkanovski, you know, we've seen the gap in that division for so long. And Ilia Topuria, he stepped up, he made the jump in that competition, and he didn't look out of place at all. He looked very good, very confident. The way he carried himself, as I said, people said it was cocky, but it was confidence, and it was confidence personified when he stepped into that cage. He made it look reasonably easy. You know, second round knockout. What a win for him. People aren't realising the star power Ilia Topuria has. I know Instagram followers are very materialistic, but they're a good way of comparing how popular someone is and how famous someone is. Now let's bear in mind Ilia Topuria is just became champion on Saturday night. Before this, he didn't have really any high profile fights. He did, if you're in the MMA, you would have watched him against Bryce Mitchell and stuff, as I said, but he didn't have any of these big massive headline fights or nothing like that there. But let's look at the Instagram followers he has. First of all, I'm going to read out some other champions and big names within the UFC. So we've got Alexander Volkanovski, 2.1 million followers. Ian Gary, 508k million followers. Sean Strickland, someone that's been getting a lot of exposure recently and is, you know, he's became a star in his own right within the sport. 2 million followers. Alex Potan-Pierre, 2.3 million followers. Take a guess at how many Ilia Topuria has. He's got 2.8 million followers. This is crazy numbers. He had 2.2 million before he even fought on Saturday night. The following this guy has is absolutely massive, and people aren't seeing it because he's not the greatest on the mic yet. His English is improving, but it's not his first language. I think we'll see him learning English more and more. Now that he's champion, he really has to get their mic skills up, and he's got a real opportunity in front of him here to become a worldwide global star, especially seeing the amount of followers he has at this stage of his career already. Why does he have all these followers? I don't know. I think it might be to do with the fact that he's Spanish speaking. And there isn't too many Spanish-speaking fighters in the UFC. I'm not sure if there's any others, to be honest, but not at this level of competition anyway. So he's obviously got a lot of support from that part of the world. Outside of that, I'm not really sure why he's got so many followers and why he is so popular on social media. On every photo he posts, he gets massive reactions and massive likes. These aren't just dead followers. People might say, oh, it's just a dead follow and he's maybe bought them or something. But it's not. As in comparison to the likes and the comments that he gets, it is in scale and in ratio with the followers he has. So I don't know. If you know why Ilia Topuria has so many followers on Instagram, let me know in the comments because I'd be quite keen to hear. So following the devastating knockout on Saturday night, what's next for Volkanovski? Volkanovski is 1-3 in the last 12 months. Obviously, the 2 losses against Islam Makhachev, the loss against Topuria, and a win against Yair Rodriguez in the featherweight division. To me, Volkanovski, he's been really active. I think he needs to take time out. He might not accept this. He probably won't take time out. You know, we heard he was struggling of recent times because he was drinking beer and stuff, and he was struggling because he didn't have a fight to work towards. To me, Volkanovski is going to have to get used to this because he can't continue the way he is going. It seems like he's had these fight camps nearly one after another with a month or 2 break in between, and it's just been too much for him. And they come back so soon after a head kick, you know, a complete knockout against Islam Makhachev. They come back so soon. It probably wasn't the smartest of moves. We have to commend him for doing it. You know, we've got another Volk main event, and what a great fight week it was. I enjoyed watching all the content because he was in it. So we have to commend that, but we also have to look at this sensibly. Volkanovski, I don't know how much time he has left. I think he's really going to have to slow down. And especially if he wants another shot at the title, I don't think he should go straight back in there straight away. He's calling for a rematch. I do think he should get the rematch at some point, but I think he needs to take time out, let the division play out a wee bit, chill out, I would like to see him take at least 9 months out and come back refocused, re-energized, and with a new game plan and a new strategy to go and beat Ilia Topuria. For Ilia Topuria, what's next for him? He's very keen on taking the UFC title and having a main event in Spain. Dana also seems up for the idea. This would be a great occasion, and you know, it's a part of the world that the UFC, I don't know if they've ever been there, not in recent years anyway, but it would be a really interesting night and a good night. It would be on a decent time. We wouldn't have to stay up for the USA pay-per-view times. It would be a pretty decent time for me here in the UK, so I would really look forward to it. There is talk of it being in Real Madrid's ground, the Bernabeu. Obviously, Ilia Topuria is a big Real Madrid fan. That would be absolutely unbelievable. In a football stadium, one of the best teams in Europe. What a night that would be for Ilia Topuria and his fans. If this here gets pulled off, Ilia Topuria sells out the Bernabeu, this here would be like typical of maybe like a boxing star to do this, not someone that's literally having their first defense of a UFC title. So again, if he's able to do this, this shows the amount of numbers and the following that he has in Spain. And I know he's got a massive following in Georgia as well. The numbers that this guy is pulling in is absolutely ridiculous for the stage of the career that he's in. Who would he fight in his first title defense? The most deserving fighter in the featherweight division, I think, is Movsar Evloev. We've seen him take out Arnold Allen in his last fight. Obviously, Max Holloway should be there as well, but Max Holloway's fighting for the BMF title against Justin Gaethje in UFC 300, so it doesn't look like their paths will align. It seems like Topuria wants to get back at it pretty quickly, so it doesn't seem like the Max Holloway fight will be his next one. It is one for the future for sure. What a great fight that would be. Stylistically, I think Max Holloway might have a better chance of beating him than Volk. As I said earlier, them long-rangey fighters in the featherweight division, it can make a difference. Styles do make fights, so I think Max Holloway is on with a shout. And he must be licking his lips at the fact that someone not named Volkanovski now has the title in the featherweight division, so I do think he'll be coming for that. Another fight which may end up being a contender fight is this Saturday night coming in UFC in Mexico. We've got Brian Ortega against Yair Rodriguez. To me, this shouldn't be a contender fight. I don't think these guys deserve a shot next. Evloev is the obvious decision, but he's not a big name. He's also a very decision-heavy fighter. You know, he's got this typical wrestling style where he'll come in, pin you up against the cage. He didn't really impress me against Arnold Allen. I thought Arnold Allen kind of done enough to win that fight, to be honest. But based on who deserves it, if you take Max Holloway out of the equation, to me, Evloev is the next man to have a shot at the title. It'll be interesting to see how this division plays out, because on some divisions you've got obvious contenders, although in the featherweight division at this moment in time there isn't a real obvious contender, so it'll be interesting to see who gets the shot. So who do you think is next for Ilia Topuria? Should it be Evloev? Is there someone else that you thought of? Should he maybe wait and Max Holloway and do that fight in Spain? Let me know what your thoughts are. Also let me know what you think is next for Alexander Volkanovski. If you agree with me that he should take a rest, who do you think he should fight? Should he step straight back in for the rematch? Is that your opinion? I'll be keen to hear. So drop a wee comment, let me know what you think. Also, if you haven't done already, make sure and check out my other video, which is breaking down the remainder of the card for UFC 298. Make sure and check that out as well. And if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like, share and subscribe to Barney Talks Fighting, and I'll see you in the next video.